You're listening to the Fan Club Podcast, where two polar opposites experience each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Fan Club Podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And this is episode 19.
I can't believe we've done this for 19 weeks now. I think I say that every single week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you say that every single week.
We started this at the beginning of May.
Our first episode came out May 16th.
And
as we're recording this, it's August 10th, which doesn't seem like it's that long. So, we are covering Avengers Infinity War today.
Yes.
Which is like
the start of the end of Phase 3.
But this is like one of like the big bads.
It's the main big bad of
like
the entire
there have been multiple
Infinity Saga.
There have been multiple films in this series that people have been like, can't wait for you to get to Winter Soldier, can't wait till you get to Civil War, can't wait till you get, but like Infinity War and Endgame are like, I get that the most. But
because this is the end of what has been built up.
Yeah, everything we've been building to is coming to this.
Everything from the Avengers movie.
Well, and we'll get into it, but because Thanos really had a hand in most things.
He really... That's the thing. From what I can remember, he only had a hand in New York and Guardians.
Yes.
Because...
But he
inadvertently created the Maximoff twins. Their powers.
Not directly.
No, but indirectly he did.
Yeah.
Because he gave Loki the scepter.
Yeah.
But the Mind Stone was in the scepter. Why would Thanos give the only Infinity Stone he had and just lose? Unless if Thanos didn't know that had the Infinity Stone in it. That's the other thing. He might not have known. That seems like poor planning on his part because he had to re-get that when he already had that.
I don't have any intelligent thoughts to say on that.
Okay.
Yeah, this movie was released in 2018 and directed by the Russo brothers. And this is this is the longest film we've had so far.
Yes.
But not the longest film in the series.
No.
And so, if this episode's a little longer than our usual ones, that is why.
Just wait for Endgame.
Obviously, we haven't recorded it yet, so I have no idea how long it's going to be, but some people like long stuff. So... sit back, relax, maybe get a snack.
Yeah, we're going to be here for a while.
Our Civil War episode was like 2.5 hours of raw footage, so I wouldn't be surprised that this one's going to be a long one. So, yeah. You want to get started?
Yeah.
So the movie opens where Ragnarok ended, which
yes.
There was a debate whether or not we were going to...
for the release order.
Yeah, there was a debate whether or not we were going to go straight from Ragnarok into Infinity War. If we were going to do Black Panther prior to Ragnarok. Ultimately, we ended up doing just them in release order.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean now. Maybe we should have. But yeah, the Asgard ship that Thor and Loki and everybody from Asgard is on is getting invaded by Thanos.
Yeah.
And the whole ship is like this wasteland, because like pretty much everybody's dead.
Yes, or half of the people.
Can we talk about for a second the motivation of Thanos, or should we wait?
Let's wait.
This guy, Ebony Maw, one of the children of Thanos.
Yes, so...
is creepy as all friggin' get out.
Are you talking about Squidward?
Yeah.
The magical one.
He is so weird. Like, he is so weird to me. He kind of... Have you seen Lilo and Stitch?
Not in a very, very long time.
He looks like the creature that's like the council person of the aliens.
Yeah.
If you've seen that movie, you know who I'm talking about, but he's already got the Power Stone, which basically means that he's already invaded Xandar.
Yep.
And he's like trying to kill Thor to get the Tesseract.
He can sort of track the Infinity Stones, since he has one already. They sort of tell him where to go. That's kind of like what's happening to... This is jumping slightly, but not really. But that's kind of like what's happening to Vision's... to the Mind Stone of Vision.
Yeah.
Where it's yelling at him. because it's telling him to
It's
run.
giving Harry's scar.
Thanos wasn't introduced into the comics until Iron Man 55 in February of 73.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pacifist at first until he fell in love with Death, and he couldn't have Death because Death went back to dating Deadpool.
I'm sorry. He's 985 pounds. If you're curious as to where we're getting this information, this is the Marvel Encyclopedia.
The new edition.
We referenced this in our Black Panther episode, I believe.
Yes.
Hulk
weighs more than...
Hulk is 1,040 pounds. Okay. Anyway, that's completely beside the point. So Loki produces the Tesseract.
Mm-hmm. So, if you remember in Ragnarok, when he was going to put Surtur's head into the Eternal Flame,
mm-hmm.
he ran by the Tesseract.
Yeah.
And it wasn't implied that he took it. It was more like you inferred. Like, did he or did he not?
Yeah.
Type thing. Which, I mean, he should not have. We wouldn't be in this mess now.
Hulk is trying to fight Thanos and is losing
He
badly.
gets demolished. Like, so bad.
And Heimdall tries to...
No, Heimdall because Heimdall had the choice to either do Thor or Hulk.
And frankly, I think he made the right choice.
Because Thor said send Hulk.
Well, but also just the trajectory of both of them throughout this movie. I think Hulk needed to go to Earth.
Because think about it. Hulk would not have lived in space. He would have died.
But also
so they both would have died.
Thor needed Stormbreaker and Hulk needed to gather everybody else.
But he didn't know about Stormbreaker. He knew that he needed a weapon. Thanos kills Heimdall because he sends Hulk to Earth. Yep. Or sends him away. Which
he summons the Bifrost.
Yes. Which, again, that is the first death of this movie.
And
that we see. Which is probably one of the more gruesome ones.
As much as we don't know about Heimdall, it still stings a little bit.
Yeah. Because Heimdall's older than Odin, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think he is, or they're about the same age. Because I don't remember if they had the Bifrost when Thor's grandfather, was around.
And all the while, Thor is chained up.
Yes. In the same kind of thing that was like police or the bad dude from Doctor Strange was in. Caecilius. Sort of same, like, holding back type of device.
Yeah.
But the Dark Maul is terrifying along with the... I don't even know what to call the other thing that was with him.
The giant, like, rock alien thing?
It wasn't a rock, though. It was more like a hulking, I don't know. But it was just this giant, demonic, evil looking.
I love how whenever he talks, the subtitles say alien language.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of makes me giggle. So the cinematography of Thanos crushing the Tesseract and, like, it kind of, like, going into the gauntlet. I can't talk. The gauntlet is really, really cool.
Yes.
It's he crushes it like a block of ice.
No, because the gem is inside of it.
No, I know. But he crushes the cube like a block of ice, and then, it flows. I love how I'm using hand gestures, and this is not a visual podcast.
But each gem done slightly differently. So, like, reality is fluid.
It's oobleck.
While the Tesseract, the Mind Stone were more of a encased item.
Yeah.
And then the Power Stone was just the gem itself, and the Time Stone was just the gem itself. Or technically, would you count the Eye of Agamotto as like an encasement? It's more of like a housing than... Because you can take it in and out of the Eye of Agamotto.
Yeah, it's more like a
housing.
Like a case.
Yeah, more like a phone case.
Loki tries to trick Thanos.
Which, why would you try to trick him? He knows your tricks, dude. Like, you convinced him to give you the scepter and he would rule New York for you. He just ultimately, failed that. And I don't know why he was like, I am Loki Odinson, the true heir to Jotunheim. He knows that already.
Yeah, I know.
And I'll have I don't remember the line that he said. So it's like, I'll give you my unconditional...
My
undying...
loyalty?
And he's like, yeah, you're undying.
Well, and then he kills Loki, and there's just a part of me that just doesn't believe Loki's actually dead.
Oh, Loki's dead. Loki's dead.
Sure. Something about it just doesn't seem...
I will explain to you about the Loki TV show once we get to Endgame. Because that's not the Loki that we know.
Hulk shows up at the Sanctum.
Yes. But at this point, Doctor Strange has no idea who Hulk is.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Doctor Strange, he knows that Hulk is Bruce Banner, but they've never met before.
But Doctor Strange, he's been so separate from everybody else.
But he was also turned into a hero much later.
Yeah, I know, but he's just like so far removed.
Because he's protecting the universe while the Avengers are protecting Earth.
So we flash to Tony and Pepper. Not happy to see her again.
No, so they're talking in the park. Pepper's mad at Tony.
We figure out they're getting married.
No, we know that.
Well, I know, but we figure out they're actually like actively planning the wedding.
Yeah, and so...
Did we actually ever see their wedding? Thank God, that would have been wasted screen time. Sorry.
No, so we see the newest type of arc reactor.
Okay, here's my thing. I was a little confused initially.
Why?
Because I was like...
honestly, it's not even... He doesn't use an arc reactor anymore.
But, okay, it makes sense later in the movie. Or not actually that much later, but it makes sense later.
Nanotech.
But at first, I was like, he had that surgery that he didn't need one anymore.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that, like, he can choose to wear it.
Not.
Or not. And, like, that way the suit is always with him.
Yes.
And that does make sense.
Which again, I talk about every time Tony is in a movie. He learned from his mistakes. Think about it. In Iron Man 3, he didn't have a suit and he had to wait to get it. Same thing in Civil War when he was fighting Bucky in the cafeteria. All he had was just his watch.
Yeah.
But now he has his suit.
Yeah, but okay,
literally in a device.
What if he's not wearing the arc reactor that
He
day?
always does. That's the thing. He always has it on. Think about it. You've saved the world how many times now? 3 times?
At least.
You're always going to wear it. But he also quit really being Iron Man after Civil War. He quit doing it. He wears it as like...
I don't know. I feel like...
protection.
I feel like it would be more useful to just do like the watch suit or like in a belt or something.
But he can only fit so much in that.
Yeah, I know. It just seems...
They're not as technologically advanced as Wakanda. That can hide the suit in a little necklace.
I don't know. I feel like Tony should talk to Shuri and maybe they would, find a way to...
I don't know. I prefer...
Because, like, she did the whole thing with his necklace.
Yeah.
And, like, with Black Panther's necklace.
But Tony also doesn't trust anyone to work on his suits.
I know, but I feel like he could get some ideas from her.
Yeah.
So Wong is basically explaining the Infinity Stones. We already knew all this information, but it is kind of nice.
But Tony didn't.
This is true, but it's also nice to get, like,
a slight refresher on what they do.
Because it's been a little while. I think we got it in Guardians?
No, we didn't know about them all. They mainly... If a stone is in the movie, they mainly just talk about that one stone.
Because I feel like we had it all laid out for us at one point.
No. We sort of did in Thor, I
could have sworn somebody, like, and if anybody listening knows what I'm talking about, and maybe I'm completely making it up.
I think what you're thinking of is they've been talked about so much.
I could have sworn there was a character at one point that laid out, like, this is... Like, and at that point, we didn't have all the information that we have now.
Gamora didn't know about the stones on Earth.
No, I thought it was the Collector.
It was like an in-scene credit thing where the Collector said 1 down, 5 to go, or
Maybe
something
that's what
like
I'm
that.
thinking of.
Because the rumor for the longest time was that the Collector was working for Thanos.
Okay, I don't know if my brain is just completely making this up. Please let me know if I'm not insane.
You could just be mixing up a lot of info.
I've gotten a lot of info in a very short amount of time.
I know I do this every episode. Where are the Infinity Stones right now?
You don't just do this every episode. You do this to me every, like, 3 days.
Where are the Infinity Stones as of right now?
In
the part of the movie that we're at.
Time Stone is in the Gauntlet.
No, not yet.
No. I mean,
point.
no. Sorry. Power Stone is in the Gauntlet.
Yes.
The Tesseract is in the Gauntlet.
What does the Tesseract do?
The Space Stone.
Correct.
The Time Stone is with Doctor Strange in the Eye of Amagato. Arimoto?
Okay, I know what you mean. Agimoto.
I don't know why I immediately think of Matsuharu Marimoto.
Oh, I think of Mr. Arigato, Mr. Romano. By Styx. That's who I think of.
I always think of the Iron Chef.
Yeah, true. True. Where is reality? As of this point of the movie.
The Collector.
Okay. And where is the Collector?
In nowhere.
Good job. Mind.
On Vision.
Yes. Okay.
And we don't know about the Soul Stone at this point.
Yes.
Well, we do.
No.
No.
We don't know about.
So there's a joke. There's a joke that Tony has a Ben and Jerry's flavor, which is Stark Raven hazelnuts, and then there's the Hoka Hoka Burnin' Fudge. Which, fun fact, Binging with Babbage on YouTube has an episode where he makes both of those.
Yeah.
And it's a great episode. I love cooking shows, and Binging with Babbage is amazing. He does, like, fandom food.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched that episode, because I watched
You didn't know what they were referencing.
I watch all of his episodes, regardless of what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what he was referencing, but now that I get it, it's, like, funny, and I wish they were real, because they sound really good.
I think they did for a bit. Like, I think for, like, it was, like, a limited flavor, like, just for, like...
I would not be surprised.
Just for, like, a month or two after Endgame Infinity.
I absolutely would not be surprised. I would imagine they would have a hard time with licensing, though.
It might have just been, like, at the factory.
Maybe.
I think I remember reading something where they were trying to make it. But that's the thing. Those flavors don't exist in the comics. They're just in the MCU.
Well, no, it was a joke in the movie.
No, they actually have those flavors in real life. Or in the movie. They have those flavors. So Ben and Jerry in the MCU made those flavors.
Yeah.
I think there's even one for, like, Cap. I think there's one for the original 6.
I don't know. I'm a Ben and Jerry stan. I think they're amazing.
Tillamook's better.
I do think Tillamook is really good, though.
It's better than Ben and Jerry's. That's the thing. Tillamook doesn't have all the weird flavors that Ben and Jerry's has.
I love Half Baked by Ben and Jerry's. It's my favorite. We learned that Vision is basically offline. We figure out later it's because him and Wanda wanted some time by themselves.
Yeah.
Which is fair. And they're very cute.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. She's dating like a 3-year-old.
Did you say she's dating a 3-year-old?
Vision's only been alive for 3 years or 2 years at this point. Mentally, he's the same age as like Tony and Bruce.
To be fair, Sharon Carter was dating an 100-year-old. Well, I guess they weren't really dating, but they made out once.
They're both still over. I don't know.
It was her aunt's boyfriend. Her dead aunt's boyfriend.
Her dead aunt's ex-lover.
Bruce figures out that I keep forgetting that Bruce and Hulk are 2 different entities. I think of them as one and the same.
They're vastly different.
But they're 2 separate entities in the same body, basically.
Yes.
So Bruce doesn't know that, because obviously he wasn't around for Civil War.
He's been gone for 2 years.
And so he doesn't know that there's beef between Cap and Tony.
Yeah, he's like, get over it, the world is ending. And
so Tony's like, we're not on speaking terms, which I react with, who cares?
Technically, Cap is a war criminal. Technically.
I get that they have beef, but, like, that's the whole reason why he gave you the freaking cell phone.
Yes.
Like, you need to call him, Tony.
But he doesn't get the chance to. So we see the full powers of the Dark Maw.
I thought his name was Ebony Maw.
Or Ebony Maw. Whatever. Squidward looking dude. We see his full powers.
Yeah, so we see, like, outside the window, there's, like, some commotion.
There's wind blowing.
And so the guys are like, what is going on? And so they go outside, and there's these giant, Tony later calls it a donut ship.
Mm-hmm. Which are by far the coolest ship, in my opinion.
I think the Dark Elf ships are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are cool, yes.
But or the ones in, the one is in Guardians where it looks like a giant bird.
Yeah, Ronan's ship.
Yeah.
That one's pretty cool, too. But I prefer this one because it's not as sleek as the Dark Elves, but it is very unique. Because there's not that many ships that run on centrifugal force.
Centrifugal?
Yes.
But I do think some of the shots of, like, later when they are going up into space.
It is pretty cool.
It is really cool. So Thanos has has invaded Earth, and we get a shot of Peter Parker.
It's the children of Thanos.
So
of Thanos is how they pronounce it.
Well, they're British. So we get this shot of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And being the true, Spider-Man that he is, he jumps. He's like, Ned, to make a distraction. And they're all like, look at this giant spaceship.
Look, we're going to die.
And so he
Spider-Man
jumps out the window.
Flies out of the window.
And Stanley is the bus driver.
Yeah, but we also get a really funny banter between Bruce and Iron Man because Hulk is terrified of them.
Yeah.
And Hulk is just refusing.
I have notes on that.
Hulk is just refusing to come out, and he's like, dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're having a problem. You can't have a problem.
Well, I interpreted that as Hulk being scared.
Oh, Hulk is terrified. Because there has never been a person that defeated the Hulk. Thanos literally played with him like Hulk was a child. Thanos did to Hulk what Hulk did to Loki.
There is an awesome Iron Man suit up though here.
Yes.
He pops the arc reactor and it
Or he closes in his jacket, which is like the inner layer to it.
Well, at first, because I said this, I think, in one of the Iron Man episodes where he basically does this pose where he pulls on the drawstrings of his jacket.
Mm-hmm. And it goes in.
Almost looks like in one of the first Iron Man movies where he puts his hands out underneath him and
but that's
flies. Which makes him look really dorky in my personal opinion.
No, but that was more to balance. Love the nano suit.
Just
with how they go on is really cool.
Spider-Man's is a little cooler.
Yes,
when we get there.
Spider-Man's is cooler. Yes. But I'm talking about Iron Man suits.
I still really like the one where he pushes the button in the helicopter and it forms around him.
But that's a suit that he has to carry on.
I think that one is so cool.
Yes, it is cool, but that's a suit he has to carry with him. Kind of like the briefcase in Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 2, which was still really cool because he literally just put the suit on him and it grew around him.
So they tie Doctor Strange up to steal the stone.
Yeah, or he gets choked with metal rebar.
Yeah, and the cloak wiggles him out of it.
Somehow. I don't know how the cloak wiggled his head out of it. Because it was around his neck. Unless if he still had it on his neck, flying around.
While this is all going on, Peter's being beamed up. It's going to get really confusing because there are two Peters in this movie.
Yeah. We're going to say Spider-Man and Star-Lord.
Yeah, okay.
Is how we're going to do the two of them.
Or Quill.
No, but we also have the fight with in the park.
Yes.
With the giant hulking claw dude. I don't remember his name.
I didn't know he had a name, but okay.
They all have a name. But the only one that we really know is that Nemo. That's the only one I think they say his name.
And
which we see Wong fight.
Tony calls for 17A, which is a missile that comes out of the...
It's a suit. It's a suit for Spider-Man.
Oh, that's right. I thought it was a missile.
No, because he says release 17A. Yes, it is a missile, but it has Spider-Man's suit in it.
It has Iron Spider.
Yes, which is by far the coolest suit.
It is so cool.
It's like, okay, kid, you're going home.
Because he's because Spider-Man's climbing up, and he's
losing oxygen because they're almost in space. They're in the last ozone.
He's
it's getting hard to breathe. He's like, yeah, because you're leaving Earth. He's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
And so then it hits him, and he's like, let go, kid, and it hits him, and...
The suit wraps around him.
He's like, it smells like a new car in here.
Peter is an absolute millennial.
He's so sweet, and I kind of wish that he would have taken Tony's, cue and just, gone home, because what happened to him wouldn't have happened to him.
No, it still would have happened.
I know, but still, maybe.
Okay, we will get to it when we get to it. The next thing we see, Tony gets into the ship while Peter is webbed to the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the order of events, so I'm just going to stick with the whole Tony
Bruce
thing.
picks up Tony's phone.
Yeah, so how do you want to just do all the Tony stuff? So Bruce picks up Tony's phone and calls Cap. Actually, I don't know if he calls Cap or not.
It's implied that he calls Cap.
But Cap was also shocked to see him.
Because,
again,
this is true.
Again,
but
Cap
when he opens the phone, he's looking for
That's the only number that's in there.
Yeah, but he, like, pulls up Cap's number.
Yeah, and so it's implied that he calls. But wouldn't Cap have told...
Who memorizes phone numbers these days?
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, wouldn't have Cap told them that Bruce is alive?
Probably.
Because if your friend, who you thought died 2 years ago, came back, wouldn't you tell everyone?
Wait, so you're saying wouldn't...
Would not Captain America, if Bruce called Cap...
wouldn't he have informed them?
Especially Natasha. The only one
they all seemed shocked.
The only one that really knew Bruce.
Really what I think it was they just wanted that, like, cinematic reveal.
But Cap was even shocked.
Maybe he thought about calling him and then didn't.
Maybe.
So, we flash to the Guardians, and they're singing Rubber Band Man, which is not a song I had heard of prior to this movie.
They hear the distress call that the Asgardian ship put out at the beginning.
And they're basically looking to, like, get a paycheck.
Yeah. They just heard a distress call.
But it's cute. Like, I like that they're just, like, jamming out together.
And
I guess Gamora and Star-Lord are jamming out together.
Drax is asleep. Groot's just playing video games.
Which is so you. Gamer Groot is so you.
It's teenage Groot, first of all.
Our son is baby Groot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're teen Groot.
I'm teen and adult.
It's just so funny. I love Groot.
So, they're all singing and
they come across the Asgardian ship and it's just like...
Or we have a little banter with everyone. Star-Lord says, okay, Groot, put that away. He's like, I am Groot. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
And the Asgardian ship is, like, desecrated.
They get to the distress signal, and they're like, what happened? Because they were expecting people, and the next thing we know, Thor splats on the windshield.
I was going to say, a body drops on the windshield, and it's
drops
Thor.
on it. And Rocket's like, wipe it off. Gross. Wipe it off.
And Drax just starts hitting on Thor. Like, stop examining his muscles.
No. That was...
no, I know.
That was
Gamora.
Gamora was saying, it's like Shatari, like... Or Shatar... metal fibers. Or something. Kantari metal fibers are his muscles. And he's like, this... Star-Lord says, like, he's just a dude. And Drax is like, he's not a dude, he's a man. You're a dude. Pirate Angel.
And they're basically, and Thor is basically like,
I'm going to take your ship.
Well, no, he's like, he says something like, he killed my brother, and my brother's dead, my father's dead, my mother's dead, and
I had to kill my sister.
And Star-Lord's like,
I had to kill my father, so that's a little bit harder. It's like,
and so they're like trauma bonding, basically. They're like battling their trauma.
Star-Lord was trying to get a one-up on a god. He talks to Gamora because he finds out that Gamora is the daughter of Thanos, and everyone thinks like he's about to kill her on the ship, and he's like, I understand your pain, we can't choose our family.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I had to kill my sister because my sister killed my father.
Gamora asks him why Thanos attacked them, and he said that he's trying to get all of the Infinity Stones.
So instead he already had the Power Stone.
And he's basically headed to Earth for the Time Stone.
How
does Thor know that? How does Thor know about the Time Stone?
I think because of the vision. Because he's been searching for the Infinity Stones.
Got it. Okay, because I was like, how could he possibly know that Doctor Strange has it?
He might have read that the Time Stone was on Earth.
And he obviously would know about Vision.
Yes, he knows about Vision. So he knows that the Time Stone...
The Mind Stone.
The Mind Stone. So I think he read it, that the Time Stone was... But that's weird that there was two stones on the same place. Mm-hmm. At the same time.
And then we flash to Scotland, and we get Wanda and Vision on a date, which is really sweet.
Or Thor goes to Nidavellir.
Nidavellir,
which Rocket wants to go so bad. I'm getting a Thanos killing kind, and Star-Lord says, shouldn't we all get that kind of weapon? And he's like, it will melt your puny minds.
Oh, yeah, so Thor needs to go to Nidavellir
to make a new weapon, because his hammer got destroyed.
Yes, and so Rocket and Groot go with him.
Yes, because he thinks Rocket is the captain.
And then we flash to
Cap.
No, then we flash to Scotland, where Vision and Wanda are on a date.
Yeah.
Which is very sweet. The alien people come for Vision.
Two more of the children of Thanos. There's...
The chick
The chick and the dude.
Descriptive. We're so descriptive.
The chick with the black marking on her eyes, and the dude that looks like a dark elf.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been a dark elf for all we know. Because usually the children of Thanos is generally the last of their kind.
Mm-hmm.
Like Gamora is a daughter of Thanos. Same with Nebula. But those four, the Black Maw or the Ebony Maw, and then the three other ones, they're called the Black Order. They're, in the comics, they're more of like mercenaries.
So they end up smashing into a train station, and we get Steve Rogers, who has a beard now and is very hot.
Yeah.
He, there's something about Cap in this movie.
Yeah. No, so we get the fight scene, and we learn that their weapons can hurt Vision.
Yeah.
Which is literally the first thing that has hurt Vision.
But also, one more thing. We learn that blonde is not Scarlett Johansson's best look.
Yeah.
She's much better as a redhead.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal opinion. We get a flashback to baby Gamora.
Yes.
Is very cute. And I vaguely remember there was a time in which they were casting a, unknown little girl as baby Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I remember the internet going crazy over it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, at the time, I had no idea about any of it. But, I for some reason remember social media during that point in time.
I don't.
I just remember people talking about baby Gamora wanting to get their kid cast as her.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I do think that the makeup that they did on her is really cool. The way that they
I think it was
the way they highlighted her, and the way that
how they made her look, how she kind of looks like Gamora.
Not even that. I'm just talking the I love
the effect.
No, I love the way that when they do characters that are unnatural skin tones, the way that the way that makeup artists create these skin tones and how they actually look like their skin is green.
Yeah.
They do it with Elphaba on Broadway and Wicked, for example,
yeah.
Or even with Nebula a little bit. I think they do a really good job of making it look like we didn't just paint a girl green.
Yeah.
I just think it's very well done.
I think she was painted green because they do this with Hulk also. So...
Well, what they do is they do the base layer, and then they'll highlight and contour in a darker or lighter shade of green.
Yeah, but they will also, in, normal filming, she's, a much, brighter green.
Yeah.
And then they'll go in and then make her darker.
I also noticed her skin almost looks iridescent in some shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just looks really pretty. I don't know if it's the lighting or the actual makeup or what it is, but I just think it's really pretty looking.
Yeah.
And I really like the way that they did her hair. And she even not just her green, but the coloring of her hair is very indicative of adult Gamora as well.
Yeah.
So you look at baby Gamora and you know it's her immediately.
Yeah.
But
let's get back to the flashback.
So, yeah, sorry, I went off on a ramble.
Yes,
but,
you did.
So Gamora's people are being slaughtered. She's desperate to find her mother.
And then she runs across Thanos, and she was able to balance that red knife thing.
Yeah.
And so he kept her.
And
then she still has that weapon to this day.
She makes Star-Lord promise to kill her. If
Thanos gets her.
Yeah.
She'll find out why.
And then we flash to nowhere. And Thanos is torturing the Collector.
And so Thanos is forcing the Collector to tell him where the reality is. The Reality Stone is. Collector says he sold it.
And Gamora... Basically, all of the Star-Lord, Drax, Gamora, Mantis...
Yeah.
They all kind of sneak up. And Gamora, it looks like Gamora gets the upper hand and was able to stab him, and in reality everything kind of falls away.
Yeah.
And
they get found because of Drax.
Yeah.
They get found because the Guardians can't keep their cool.
That's Matthew's big beef with the end of this movie.
No, it's just my beef with Peter Quill. He's the only one that deserves what happened, in my opinion. It's nothing against the actor. It's just Peter Quill.
So everything falls away, and we figure out that Thanos is using the Reality Stone.
That he already has it, and that he was just waiting there to capture Nebula. Or to capture Gamora. Is literally what his goal was there. And so he tells Peter to kill her. Because Peter promised, or Quill promised, that he would kill her. And so he tries, and he turns his bullets into bubbles. Then they teleport.
And we get Cap and the gang showing up at Avengers campus.
Yes. While Rhodey's talking to General Ross.
And Bruce shows up.
Yeah. And then General Ross is like, arrest them. He's like, will do, sir.
We learn that Ant Man and Clint are on house arrest.
Yes, they made a deal. Because they didn't want to be in prison and away from their families.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see Ant-Man's house arrest in the next movie.
And they're talking about how they're going to try to get the stone out of Vision.
And so Cap's like, I know where we need to go. And then we go to
Wakanda. And we see Bucky get a new arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to the ship with
My biggest complaint with this movie, I don't like all the jumping. I wish they would do...
You wish it was more linear.
Because it's all going on at the same time, so I understand the jumping. But I wish they would have done, like, the whole Tony thing.
We had a little off-camera conversation about how to do this episode, and we figured just do it in order of...
It's so confusing, though.
So I apologize if this episode is a little confusing to follow.
It's because this is how they did it.
But this is literally how I wrote my notes, is in order of appearance.
They should have, in my opinion, with this movie, they should have just done all of the Guardian stuff, and then all of the Earth stuff, all of the Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man stuff. And
then everybody meet in the middle.
Yes. Instead of A, B, C, A, B, C, A, C, B, D. Instead of just randomness, there could have been a little bit more fluidity.
There's a shot where they have Doctor Strange, like, kind of all these, like, needles pointing. It's such a cool shot, though.
And then Spider-Man shows up. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I blame you because of how cool you made the suit.
And he's like, I'm Peter Parker, and he's like, I'm Doctor Strange. Oh, we're using our made-up names.
I'm Spider-Man. And he's like, who's this kid? Is he your ward? We do see... Have you seen this old movie, The Aliens? This old sci-fi movie, Aliens? And he's like...
I can't say I've ever seen Aliens, so I don't really get this visual reference.
In the first Aliens movie, Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney?
I don't remember her name in the Alien movie. He blows a hole in the wall of the ship and sucks out the alien. And he's like, yeah, but the kid has seen more movies, and he shoots a rocket out the wall. Ebony Maw goes through the hole. And dies.
Tony and Doc are beefing.
Just say Strange.
I literally have it in my notes is Doc.
So Tony is blaming Doctor Strange for the predicament that they're in. He's saying you should have ran. He's like, well, I have to protect the stone. He's like, but you could have still protected the stone and ran, and we would not be in this mess right now. Or even used the time stone for what it does.
Yeah, and then he knights Peter as an official Avenger.
Yeah.
We get a scene where Thanos is explaining his plan, which is so bizarre.
So, think about it. If he kills half... So, just on Earth alone, yes, there are countries that are starving, blah, blah, blah. There are.
So he thinks that killing half the population will make the scarce resources easier to go around.
Yes, because think about it. Kind of what he said makes sense.
I get it,
There's a finite amount of resources.
I get it, but it's absolute insanity.
It's genocide. It's genocide.
Yeah, but it's weird to put into practice.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm just rounding up. There's 8 billion people on Earth. There's only 4 billion left. Food that would go to 8 billion people would now only need to go to 4. So the food would double.
I understand the plan.
Again, it's weird, but it makes sense. So
are you saying he's justified?
No, not at all. I'm not saying he's justified. I'm saying his reasoning makes sense. It's kind of like the same. I know I trashed Killmonger a lot in the last movie, in Black Panther, but his reasoning made sense. Just how he did it was dumb. It's the same thing with Thanos. With the stones, he could have, I don't know. With all 6 stones, you can do anything.
Yeah.
He could have doubled the resources. Or even tripled or quadrupled the resources. He could have helped in a different way other than mass genocide on a universal scale.
Yeah.
Like Killmonger. He could have gone to Wakanda and said, like, hey, black people need help in America.
I feel like Killmonger and Thanos would be friends.
Yes, with Ultron. All 3 of them would be best. They all
have the same goal.
Yes, just world domination and kill everyone. No, but you see what I mean with it? Like, Thanos could have... He was doing a terrible thing. He has a terrible idea, but he's also at the root of it. He's trying to be a salvation. What he thinks he's doing is good.
Yeah.
It's justifiable. Which it's not.
So, then we get a scene where we figure out that Nebula is being tortured.
Has been tortured for a while.
Because she's tried to sneak onto
the ship and almost killed him successfully.
Oh.
And so we see Gamora absolutely failing at lying to him, saying, I don't know where the Soul Stone is. And then literally plays a recording of Gamora saying, I know where the Soul Stone is, I found the map and I burned it. So Thanos will never find it.
And then we get a scene with Rocket and Thor, and Rocket gives Thor an eye.
He was missing an eye.
No, I get it. I think it's just, like...
He has random body parts on him.
But it's also, I feel like it's just so they could get Chris Hemsworth to not have to wear the eye patch.
Yeah. Do you think Rocket still has the toe that Groot gave him as baby Groot?
Probably.
But it wasn't a robotic toe, so it's probably gone bad by now.
Ew. I'll never get over that scene. Like, why don't you wear hats? Why don't you like hats? That's why you don't like hats?
Because it makes their head look weird. I am Groot.
And we go to Nidavellir. Nidavellir?
Whatever. Some hard word to say.
And we get Peter Dinklage, who, in my personal opinion, has one of the worst British accents, and yet still gets hired to do one. Like, I loved Game of Thrones when it was on, but his British accent was, like, weirdly inconsistent. And like, the guy's from New Jersey, okay? He's literally from the town I used to live in New Jersey.
Yeah. And he plays a giant dwarf named Eadridge. The dwarves in Norse mythology made all of the Asgardian weapons. We learn that Nidavellir is shut down.
Yeah.
Because it uses a star to make the weapons, to melt the metal.
Yeah.
And it's been frozen for some time. Which, this is when the timeline-wise gets weird. Which I sort of explained to you last night. Thanos has had the Infinity Gauntlet since, I think it was like Age of Ultron, because of the end scene credit. So he literally, for 2 years now, has had the gauntlet. Etheridge has had no hands for 2 years. And all the other dwarves were dead. Or did Thanos just make the gauntlet before getting powers?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the thing. No one really knows.
We figure out that Nebula escapes, and...
Nebula sort of regained the ability to build herself back together.
Yep. And Tony, Doc, and Spider-Man land on Titan.
So could you say Thanos is like Sid and Nebula is like some of the toys?
The giant baby.
The giant spider baby thing. I mean, Sid would tear them apart and rebuild them. Like he did with... what he did with
Oh god,
Nebula.
that makes me think the toys had feelings.
They did have feelings.
I mean, it's like Bo Peep and Woody had feelings. You know, giant baby thing had...
Yeah. It was a baby head on a metal spider. It had to be in pain.
Okay, that creates a whole new thing that I did not once give a single thought about.
All those toys were torn apart and rebuilt. Like Nebula.
So, yeah.
They land on Titan.
And the Guardians are on Titan too. Land on Titan too.
A waste of space, those 4.
So
or
Drax,
those 3.
Drax, Mantis, and Star-Lord.
A waste of space.
And they're like...
Who are you?
Where's Gamora? More importantly, what is Gamora? And then why is Gamora?
No, it's where's Gamora, who's Gamora, why is Gamora? Which, that was ad-libbed.
No.
which I think was like one of the first ad-lib things of the movie, which Star-Lord got in the way and messed things up. Like he always does.
I do love when Spider-Man comes in contact with Mantis. He's like, "Don't put your eggs in me."
Because he said, "I'm sorry if I get eggs planted in me and I kill you." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "There's someone here."
So then we go back to Thor, and Stormbreaker is born.
Or we see Stormbreaker get made.
Yeah.
Because so they break the ice by throwing the ship that Rocket is in, and Thor stopping, or
Doctor Strange goes. Basically, he's like, there's something funky happening with him, and he basically says he went forward in time to see all the outcomes.
14.
And Tony's like, "How many did we win?" He said 1.
Yeah.
And it's not looking good.
No, not at all.
We jump to Vormir, which looks really cool because it's like blue and purple, and it's like this like cool desert. And we see Red Skull.
So, do you want to guess why he's there?
Because the Space Stone banished him there.
Oh yeah, I forgot they said. Was one of the first to want all 6 stones, but the stones found him unworthy. So the stone Tesseract banished him to guard the Soul Stone.
And we learned that the Soul Stone is only able to be achieved because it's a soul for a soul.
So
soul for a soul.
Now do you remember why when I asked you what you think the Soul Stone does? Where you said it controls the soul, and I said you're kind of right.
I literally had no idea.
But you were closer to how to get it. Does that make sense now?
Mm-hmm. And so then he has to kill Gamora.
The only thing that he loves.
R.I.P. Gamora. Is she actually dead?
Yes. Because, I mean, I'll explain this more in Infinity War or in Endgame. My opinions on this.
Okay. So,
because
Cap and the gang land on Wakanda. Or
yes.
I don't know why I always want to say land on Wakanda. It's in Wakanda because they're a country. It's a country, not a planet. I don't know why my brain always jumps to planet. You had a line that was bugging you last night where Falcon.
Yes, so Wakanda was announced to the world that it's a place.
Yes.
That it's technologically advanced. At the end of Black Panther, which takes place a week after Civil War. Wouldn't people know, especially people that were in the military?
Well, so Falcon has a line where he says, Cap goes, we're descending at blah 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 feet.
And he's like, well, we're going to land a lot closer, are you sure? He's like, but Falcon works closely with Captain America. Literally, after Cap took Bucky to Wakanda, they got Falcon.
I think it was a throwaway line they didn't necessarily think that hard into.
But it makes zero sense. It's kind of like the whole Bruce Banner thing earlier. Cap doesn't tell people anything. Cap wants people to trust him. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't give people that he works with any info. At all. Like, I wouldn't trust Cap after the whole Bruce Banner thing. With Cap knowing. He didn't even tell Natasha, who had a thing with Bruce.
Yeah. So,
I mean, he wants people to trust him, but he doesn't trust people. It's a two-way street.
So there's a really funny line where Bruce is like, do we bow? And Rhodey's like, yeah, he's a king. Yeah. And then he, like, completely trolls him, which I think is hilarious.
It's like, we don't do that here. And he just looks at Rhodey, and Rhodey's just laughing. And then they take Vision up to Shuri, and Shuri's like, why didn't... It's like, he has 2 trillion... We had to do them all sequentially in order. She's like, why didn't you just do it this way? He's like, we didn't think of that. But that also shows her intelligence.
And so this scene is intercut with them activating Nidavellir.
Yes.
I just wanted to say that because we're gonna jump back. And then we got alien ships landing in Wakanda. And Bruce in the Hulkbuster. Creepy, terrifying, creepy, crawly alien creatures come out of the ship. T'Challa opens up a section of the barrier, and Shuri is extracting the Mind Stone.
Because we see that the creatures are starting to circle the dome. Because they are getting through, but they're sacrificing themselves to get through.
And then Shuri extracts the Mind Stone.
Or is trying.
And this is where we get Thor holding open the forge and Groot becoming the handle of the axe.
Yeah.
Which, I love Groot so much.
I mean, he sacrificed his arm.
We just watched the I Am Groot shorts this morning.
Yeah.
And it's so cute.
They're really, really adorable.
The best one, in my personal opinion, is Groot's Pursuit, which is the one where he's, like, dancing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one's nice. I also really like the one where he's taking a bath.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one's really funny.
But we do get that funny line, though, between Thor and the dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to kill you. He's like, only if I die. That's what killing you means.
So there's a shot of Thor, Groot, and Rocket arriving in Wakanda to the Avengers tune, and it is so epic.
And Bruce is like, you guys are dead now.
It is so epic. It is so cool.
Because Thor just decimates so many people. So, I know I explained it to you last night. Do you want to break down Stormbreaker? Like, what it actually...
Sure.
So,
go for it.
So Stormbreaker, the name of it is literally Breaker of Storms, which was Odin's weapon. So, in the comics, Thor did turn bad for a while, for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
More got egotistical like Hela did. Odin banished Hela to Hel, which is where Hel comes from in Norse mythology. Odin's weapon to end Thor was the Stormbreaker, as in Thor is the god of thunder, which are storms. And Breaker, so it's the weapon that breaks Thor. Because Odin couldn't fight Thor on his own, because Thor had his lightning abilities, while Odin really doesn't have any abilities like that. He knows all, but he doesn't have any fighting abilities. Thor, I think, is one of the only ones that can control weather like that.
Then we flash back to Titan, and they are almost able to remove the gauntlet.
And then Peter Quill has to come in and ruin everything like he always does.
So he finds out Gamora is dead and absolutely loses his crap.
It's just like, dude, you should have just backed off when Tony said back off. Keep your cool. Then Thanos would have gotten the glove, killed Thanos, and none of the rest of the movie would have happened.
Cap and Groot have this really sweet interaction where he goes, I am Groot! And he goes, I'm Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's really sweet.
And then we get the second ad-lib of the movie, is the beard, of them talking about the beard and the haircut.
It's like, oh, you got a haircut. Oh, you stole my beard.
Yeah, which they wanted to do, like, two friends seeing each other, or haven't seen each other in several years.
And Wanda is kicking some ass. I love her.
Or she got beat for a bit.
Yeah, but there's this scene where, I'm just gonna call her Lady Alien, the one with, like, the black forehead. Yeah, she's got, like, this, like, black mask.
Who I
like,
thought for a while was, what's her name? The princess from Colonel Mines. In my head, for some reason, I thought she was...
Paget Brewster?
Paget Brewster. For some reason in my head, I thought she was Paget Brewster, which she's not.
So there's this fight with Lady Alien, Wanda, Natasha, and Okoye.
Yes.
And it's so cool. Like,
because Wanda got beat down. And then she killed Alien Chick by throwing her into some blades. And Natasha says, that was gross. Because she got blue blood on her.
Yeah. And then there's a fight between Doc and Thanos. And that one's really cool, too. And Thanos stabs Tony.
With his own weapon. After throwing a planet on him. Or a moon on him.
Yeah.
He literally ripped a part of the moon of Titan.
Doc bargains the stone for Tony's life.
Which... was a mistake, but okay.
And then Thanos arrives in Wakanda.
Mm-hmm. And Peter's like, did we just lose? Yes, we lost because of your stupidity, Peter. Because of your stupidity, Star-Lord. Because you couldn't keep your cool.
And then there's this scene that everything kind of goes silent. All you can really hear is Wanda and Vision talking to each other, and you see it's like flashes of everybody trying to beat Thanos and getting their butts handed to them.
He was literally using one stone on each person.
Yeah.
A different stone on each person.
And meanwhile, Wanda is trying to extract the Mind Stone.
Or destroy the Mind Stone.
Yeah, destroy the Mind Stone. And basically everything gets exploded.
And then
Thanos comes up and he turns on the Time Stone and kind of turns everything back.
Which is really the only thing that Time Stone can do. You can't use a Time Stone as a weapon.
and he goes and grabs the Mind Stone out of Vision's forehead.
With his normal hand, with no stones active.
And breaks vibranium.
And vibranium is the toughest material on Earth.
And he now has all the stones. Thor tries to use Stormbreaker on him.
And hits him in the stomach, or in the chest.
And
he's like, you should have gone for my head.
He snaps.
I think it would have been really cool for the movie to end there.
That would have been a complete and total cliffhanger.
I should make you wait a year for Endgame.
Do you ever want this podcast to be over?
No, what I'm saying. Because we had to wait a year to watch Endgame. Almost exactly a year.
And so, everybody gets dusted.
Yes.
Well, not everybody, but...
Half of...
You were saying...
So, half of the universe.
But you were saying that the actors didn't know who was getting dusted.
No.
They shot them all individually. They didn't know until right before they were going to.
Yeah.
And they shot them all individually, and they didn't know who each other...
No, they didn't. So, in one interview, Bucky Barnes' character, Sebastian Stan, didn't know until minutes before shooting that scene.
The most emotional of which is Peter.
And Groot.
Oh my god, Groot! I almost blacked him out for a second. But Spider-Man getting dusted is just he's like, I'm not feeling so good.
And he just clings onto Tony.
He's such a baby.
I don't feel good. And he just dusts away, and then Groot's, Rhodey's calling out for Sam while he's being dusted.
I'm a little frustrated that everybody...
Okoye is freaking out.
I'm a little frustrated that everybody gets dusted but the core Avengers.
That we know of.
That we don't know about Clint.
Yeah, we know of.
But I'm a little frustrated at that, only because that just doesn't...
But it was also a lot more than the originals. Nebula's still around, Rhodey is still around, Rocket's still around.
I thought Rocket got dusted.
No, Rocket's still around.
I thought
Star-Lord
was going to make it for a hot second, but he didn't.
I'm so glad he did. He would have been a waste of space, like he was in Guardians 1 and 2.
Is that why you don't like Guardians?
Yes. I don't like Star-Lord. I don't know why. It's just something with Star-Lord. Even in the comics.
If Guardians was an entirely the Rocket and Groot show...
I would have been A-okay with that. If it was Nebula, Rocket, and Groot... Awesome.
I do love the plot twist in Guardians 2, though.
Yes.
That was fun.
The stories are great. It's just Star-Lord for me.
So we get this scene where Thanos is basically in his version of Paradise.
Yes, and that's the end of the movie.
And our end credit scene is Nick Fury and Maria Hill in...
We're seeing New York, so we're seeing the effects of that battle.
And they both get dusted. Mm-hmm. The last thing we see is his pager calling Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So...
But yeah, it's not just Earth. It's literally half of all life. In the universe, in galaxies, it could be trillions of light years away.
Here's the thing,
and they got dusted.
I'm just gonna say human life. I don't necessarily mean just humans.
All. Any living organism.
So, could a tree have been dusted?
No.
Could a plant have been dusted?
It has to be living.
That is living!
No, breathing, blood, whatever. So, animals, humans, aliens, things like that. So, actually legitimate living creatures. So, Groot's planet, yes, if there was any left, they would have been dusted. Anything that has, a beating organs.
Yeah. So...
Even trillions of light.
That is a wrap on Infinity War. What are your thoughts?
Infinity War is not my favorite.
Overall, I think this movie is great, but I do agree with you. It feels very disjointed the way that they structured it.
Yes.
And that is purely just a editing choice.
Ow.
That is purely a, just structural choice.
Yeah, it's just really... It's easy to fall...
It's easier to follow when you're watching it than it is to recount it.
Because even in my opinion, what they should have done is
I feel like
do all of...
I feel like they structured it
to show everything that's happening at the exact same time.
Yeah, but okay, you know how a TV show, a sitcom, for example, is A plot, B plot, C plot. A plot, B plot, C plot.
Yeah.
And that's how they did that with this movie. And I don't necessarily think it works 100% of the time.
Yeah.
It's easier to follow in watching the movie than it is to recount it.
Yeah.
But there's so much in this movie, and I don't necessarily think it could have worked where you did all of the Tony and Doc stuff, all of the Guardian stuff, all of the other stuff.
But they could have tied them all in.
They kind of did. I don't know how else they would have done it. Like,
I don't know, but
realistically, because I think that they did it in a way that it made sense. But I agree with you. It's not the most conducive to her structure. It makes it a little confusing.
Yeah.
But overall, what did you think? I thought it was a great movie.
Yeah, it is a great movie, but
it's very long.
Oh, just wait.
Like, I felt like it might have been a hair too long.
Just wait till Endgame.
I couldn't tell you what scenes I think should have been cut.
Anything with Guardians. Anything with Star-Lord.
I couldn't tell you.
Because it needs all of the scenes. I mean, they probably could have cut out some of the Vision scenes in Switzerland.
Yeah, no, they were in Scotland.
Or Scotland. Like, they could have cut out some of that. They could have cut out some of, like, the Wakanda scenes. They could have cut out some of the Titan scenes.
I don't know what I personally would have cut, but I do think it feels like it drags in places, and I don't have specific scenes in which I feel like it drags. I feel like they might have gone a little too hard into Nebula. I think we didn't necessarily need a ton of her.
I mean, we didn't get a ton of her, though.
I know, but I feel like...
But Nebula...
Like, that scene where she, like, escapes is a little too drawn out for me.
But it shows how she got to Titan, though.
I don't know. There are just parts of this movie...
No, that scene makes her showing up on Titan will make sense in Endgame.
I just think that there's parts of this movie kind of dragged in places.
Yeah.
I think certain scenes just were okay, but they dragged a little too long.
Yeah.
That could have been tightened up.
Like, we didn't need the thrones, in my opinion. But it sort of helped explain his idea.
And there were a lot of, like, long, drawn-out establishing shots of things.
Yeah.
And it made this film, not that it was bad, I'm literally finding things to nitpick, okay?
Yeah.
It just felt that much longer.
Like, it's still a great movie.
It is, and this sounds so dumb to say this, because it's a movie, but it's very cinematic. That's why it sounds stupid, but, like, just the way that it's shot is very cinematic and very, like, they use colors very well. They use certain shots very well.
They're really, really good at setting up planets.
Oh, for sure. And I really liked the title cards, like when we would go to Nidavellir and we would go to Titan, because you know exactly where you are.
Yeah. And
it's not confusing.
I loved them fixing Nidavellir. It was really cool.
Yeah. But overall, like, is this one of my favorites? No. I'm intrigued to see what I think of Endgame, because I've heard from a couple...
Endgame is one of my favorites.
I've heard from a couple of people that Endgame is better than Infinity War.
I mean, Endgame is the end of Phase 3. So Endgame is literally... It might be Far From Home is the end of Phase 3.
Yeah.
It's such of a great ending.
This is not one of my favorite movies, and definitely not one of... I think Age of Ultron is still my favorite Avengers movie.
Would you choose to rewatch this later?
Maybe? I don't... Because we watched it twice.
Yeah.
And...
Just to make sure that we didn't miss... Or to make sure that you didn't miss any...
Well, because I was sick the first time.
I'm surprised you didn't really cry at, like,
I'm surprised I didn't cry either. And if you know me at all, you know I will cry at literally anything.
I mean, you almost cried in Guardians, too, with the plot twist.
I didn't cry.
Or you were close. With how
I will literally cry at anything.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised I didn't cry.
But I think because you already kind of knew since I had you watch it before.
But... I don't know. I find these group movies kind of overwhelming.
Mm-hmm. Just wait till Endgame. There's like 300 people.
That is a wrap on Infinity War.
Yep.
And next week we will be doing Ant Man and the Wasp.
Which I'm looking forward to.
We'll check in with Scott Lang and see how he's faring after... I take it he lived because he's in the next movie.
I'm not saying when it takes place.
Okay, fair enough.
We'll find out.
And yeah, so next week we'll be covering Ant Man and the Wasp. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
If you would like to send us any feedback or any messages, you can follow us over on Instagram at thefanclub_podcast or on Twitter at fanclub_podcast. Or you can discuss each episode with us over on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/thefanclubpodcast. And make sure that you tune in every Marvel Monday.